I'll introduce myself first. My name is Isaac Smith. I'm the Special Projects Coordinator at IU Bloomington's Jacobs School of Music, Office of Entrepreneurship and Career Development, the OECD. Why we're here right now is we're hosting an innovation hour. Innovation hours are basically a type of event that we like to host, showcasing people who are innovating somehow in either music performance spaces or music industry spaces or in some sort of creative way. There's a lot of folks who can be described as that within the Bloomington community, but then there's also people who are part of our national and international community who are music innovators as well. And we like to bring them to help our students and talk to people in the Bloomington community about what's going on in music, what's going on in the current day of music, and the future of music. We also partner with a group called IU Innovates. I don't know if any of them are here at the moment, but they are a entrepreneurship center in Bloomington that helps students develop projects, make connections, and create products. Some of which are musically related as well, and they were big partners in our algorithms conference about music and AI that happened a couple weeks ago. So that's us at the OECD, and that's what Innovation Hour is about. With that, I would like to introduce the folks who are going to be hosting, or I guess the folks who are going to be talking, who are from a group called SongHub. And SongHub, their blurb says it's a creative collaboration and rights management platform providing solutions for publishers, PROs, schools, and content creators. So it's a really flexible service, and it sounds like it's done a lot of good for a lot of folks who are creating content and creating music in today's increasingly digital world. So with that, I'd like to pass it over to Steve, who is the co-founder and I think current CEO of SongHub. Is that right?
Yes. Isaac, thank you. Yeah, and my co-founder and COO, Joe Berman's on as well. But awesome. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the opportunity to let us show you what we've built. The idea was spawned from Joe's personal experience. We both have music business backgrounds. He has a publishing and rights management background and was dealing with writers in different territories that were asking to be connected. And he thought, well, aren't you signed to Universal Music Publishing, or aren't you signed to Sony? And even major publishing clients are not being treated well by their publishers, as a lot of people in the industry will know. The top 2% get the white glove treatment, and everybody else kind of has to fend for themselves. So we came up with an idea to do a match.com for songwriters, just to let people find each other and collaborate on projects, because music's a collaborative endeavor. We built that out and then thought, we should add a registration component, because a lot of musicians aren't focused on the business side. Many of them have managers, but some of them don't. Or many of them have labels or publishers, but some of them don't. If you don't, you may not know how to properly register your songs. So we took a look and said, look, it's important to understand what a publisher does. It's important to understand what a performing rights organization like an ASCAP or a BMI or an Alltrack does. It's important to understand what the MLC is, Sound Exchange, and the U.S. Copyright Office, right? The basic places that you want to have your IP, your songs registered in order to collect all the royalties that you're due. And we're finding that a lot of artists now create songs, they put them up through TuneCore, CD Baby, they're on Spotify, they're in distribution, but they haven't properly been registered. So they're still not taking advantage of the royalty streams that they can, because they're not registering through places like the MLC or Sound Exchange, for example. So we incorporated those into the platform. We also thought it was important to put in a blockchain component, because the tracking and monetization of music rights is something that is very inefficient right now, and there's problems with it. But we know that in the future there will be a single source of data. You will be able to track your song when it's played anywhere in the world. The IP holders, the rights holders, will be able to monetize based on that tracking. Right now it's kind of fragmented. So we incorporated a blockchain feature. So when you create a track, there's a token ID for each part of the track. The minute you open it up, the minute you add a file to it, the minute you have additional writers and you do song splits, and then once you finalize it, every one of those actions is detailed on a blockchain and put up in a mutable block in Polygon, so that if you have to refer to it, sometime in the future, you can go back and say, here's the time and date where this happened. Here's my splits on this time and date where this happened. Also noticing a lot of students and younger songwriters don't understand that it's important to get your song splits in place before the song's in distribution. You see a lot of problems where songs, again, are out on Spotify or Apple Music, and the writers haven't agreed on their terms. They haven't agreed on what shares they're going to get when $1 comes in. Better to do that before money starts coming in while you're still in the studio or still in that creative mode versus having to have your lawyers fight it out if the song becomes really successful. So we incorporated song splits, and we're happy to show you all this. Joe can run us through a really nice demo, show you the workflow. We added a communities feature, which was important to build community between different niches. So if you're a guitar player or a film composer or a game designer, and you wanted to build your own team or work with people of like minds, you could create your own community and contribute to other communities as well as your own on the platform. So it really solved a lot of the communication problems. Also, we were talking earlier about other schools where film students couldn't talk to music students, couldn't talk to gaming students. There needed to be a platform that allowed them to connect and collaborate together, because film uses music, gaming uses music, music has music, but being able to use stuff from your school, the music department might be a couple buildings over, but you might not know those people. And there's no way for most schools to have that connection happen because you're in a different, intellectual or school vertical that may not have a crossover. So what we did was, build a platform that allows those kind of connections to happen, and that's SongHub.
And we've also noticed that the creative community can be quite disruptive. So we wanted to create a single destination, a complete creative ecosystem where music creators can, like Steve said, find collaborators, manage their rights and their registrations and the percentage splits, and stay engaged on one community rather than being disrupted by an Instagram or a Facebook or a TikTok. So it keeps everybody kind of engaged and focused, which we felt was pretty important.
Yeah, it does. It sounds really important. It sounds sort of like your platform is part, community building, part educating people about, PROs and how to get their royalties, and then also a tool that links them with those things in a way sort of that's a lot easier than it is if you have to do everything manually. And speaking as someone who registers their works online and tries to collect royalties from them, it's a gigantic hassle, and no matter how much I know, I always feel like I know nothing. So seems like there's definitely a market and a need for a tool like this, not just to connect people, but also to connect people with the money that they're earning. I would love to see a little bit of how it works, about the functionality of it. Can you walk us through it?
Sure. Okay, so welcome to the SongHub dashboard. So our dashboard, user dashboard, will consist of shortcut menu over here on the left. You can create a new project. You can manage your existing project. You can join and engage in communities. You can browse collaborators. You can manage all of your messaging, shows your subscriptions, and you can look at all your song registrations, where they're registered, and the status. So after a quick short onboarding, you would create your user profile. Your user profile consists of tags, specialty tags. You can put a short bio up, and you can put links to your socials. And then down here, you can have music for other SongHub users to preview. You can put a reel here, you can put MP3s, you can put WAV files, you can put movie files, anything you want to preview and have available for others to see or hear.
It's like a portfolio.
Exactly. So once you create your user profile, you can work off your dashboard. Your dashboard's broken into 4 sections: projects and collaborations. This is where I can manage all my projects. My inbox, which is where all my internal messaging lives. We have the community and live news feed, which we'll get into that after we show you a quick short workflow. And then here is an open section that we kind of kept this open for white label versions of the platform, where we can make this an announcement section for faculty. We can make this assignment distribution from faculty to student. So if I'm looking to browse, if I'm looking to collaborate with another SongHub user, I would go over here to browse collaborators. And this brings up everyone on the platform. We're looking at the, this is the full sale version of the platform, where we have their various programs, which is, you could filter through their various programs. So if I'm a film and TV student and I'm looking for a composer for my student film, I can filter down into music and recording, and then filter even further composer. So, and we can customize this to your needs, however you need it. So I can listen to other people's music on their profile, and if I like what I hear and I want to invite this person to collaborate, I would click invite to collaborate. This opens up a window. He now receives an email notification as well as a SongHub notification that he's been invited to collaborate. I now have the option to either create a new project, or I could bring this collaborator into an existing project of mine. So let's go ahead and create a new project for this collaboration. We'll make this music and recording. We'll give it a title. We'll make this a pop song. And I can put some notes in here for my collaborator if need be. I now can create the project page. I can change to the image if I want for the project. So it's showing its song title, it's a music and recording project, it's a pop song. And this is my collaborator. And then this real estate over here is for my project file history. So any files that are uploaded by either myself or my collaborator will live here. So I can drag and drop a Ableton, Pro Tools, Logic session folder here, and it will grab all the stems, or I can upload individual WAV files or MP3 files, whatever I want. So we'll go ahead and upload an audio file for my collaborator. Can put an
So by the
additional
way,
note here.
these can be people anywhere, anybody who's basically got a profile on SongHub.
That's right.
Not like, let's from an IU perspective, it wouldn't necessarily need to be anybody at the Jacobs School of Music or at IU. It could be just anyone who's connected to SongHub.
Correct. We have a public version of the platform that we actually went live about 3 weeks ago. And like I mentioned earlier, we are white labeling because some of the universities want a gated data set. So they wanted it to be proprietary to just their students and faculty. But we do have a public version that's open to anyone.
Is there a, you know, along the lines of what you've just described, is there a way, say, for instance, for the students to toggle between the local community and the public community? I mean, is there, or do they have to have different accounts?
We're actually, go ahead, Steve.
If you have a white label version, you can allow people to go back and forth. So you, in other words, you would control the admin of that white label version. The public version lets everybody go everywhere. But if you have a, say, an IU version and want IU students to be able to go out, you can allow that.
For schools, I think the white label version is preferred. because like Steve mentioned, it then gives you super admin control over the student body.
And the other thing we learned was the alumni connection, right? Most schools reach out to their alumni to collect money and funding, but this gives them a reason to stay connected and engaged with a purpose. So if you're, say, a graduating senior, but you've worked on 20 projects with other musicians, now you can keep that account open and still have access and still have a purpose to work with existing students versus just, hey, send us another $1,000 this year. If someone gets a job in the industry or they go on, obviously, and others that are still at the school want to stay connected to them, this makes it very easy to do that.
So I'm going to add this first file to the project. So the time and date stamps the file. File lives here. My collaborator can now, he's notified that there's a file addition to the project. He can now download the file on his end, and he can work offsite in his DAW where he can then upload back into the project for me to hear his contribution. So there'll be some back and forth here with files. Let's just assume that we have a finished composition here. And since I'm the administrator of this project, I'm the only one that can assign percentage splits on this song. So I can go here and assign a collaborative role, a publisher share, and a share on the master and our sound recording. So let's just make this a 50-50 endeavor. I can approve my share, but I cannot approve on my collaborator's behalf. So what I'm going to do is save this project. And once I save it, he'll then be notified that he's been assigned a 50% share of the publishing as well as a 50% share of the master. And he'll also be given a direct link back to this project page where he can approve. So I will show you what this project looks like in its finished state with all the approvals. This is the same project, and I've since added an additional collaborator because you could do so at any time. There's multiple files. Percentage splits have all been approved. I can then now register the song with the applicable societies. So this is my society here. So you're seeing my IPI CAE number, my publishing. It's registered with Sound Exchange. It's registered with the MLC. I can add alternate titles. It's an original composition. There's the duration. I can add an ISWC or ISRC number. There's my artist, and it auto-populates all of the writer publishing information.
That is really impressive. That is totally amazing to see how it all completely synchronizes.
Yeah. So when you onboard as a new SongHub user, you're asked for your affiliation, your IPI number, your publishing information, your publisher's IPI. And if you're not a member of a society, we've made it where you can join a society. If you want publishing, you can opt into SongHub Music Publishing, which we handle global royalty collections for young writers for a one-time fee. You can opt in to join AllTrack, which is our preferred PRO partner. I'm not sure if you know about them, but they're the latest US PRO that was co-founded by one of the founders of CSAC.
They're focused on independent artists.
Yeah, you can join the MLC, you can join Sound Exchange, and going back to this project, I don't know if you saw it, but you can register this project directly with the US Copyright Office right here.
So we found that a lot of mistakes are made in that data entry. If someone keeps putting in their affiliations over and over every time they write a song, if you forget something or you don't have the proper IPI number in there, obviously your song doesn't get registered, you don't get paid. So by having it auto-populate every time you collaborate, it alleviates some of those mistakes. And then if you go back to my registrations, Joe, we wanted to make a page where you could see all your work in one place and see where make sure it's registered everywhere it has to be. So that we encounter students that have, stuff on this hard drive, stuff on that hard drive. They forget if they had a copyright registration. They forget if it was registered with Sound Exchange. Here you could see all of your work in one place. So from the standpoint of a workflow from a musical artist, this is like your LinkedIn. It's you're not going to have, your uncle calling you or your high school roommates calling you. This is where you work on your music. This is where you register it all and where you can collaborate with other creators focused on what you're doing and not on other social network stuff.
From a, from a, I'm thinking about it from a university perspective, from a student perspective. So I'm less, and this is probably more perfunctory, but I'm less concerned if I'm a student about registration. I'm more concerned about getting a song that I need to register. So, or collaborating with other people in the university and how, that works. So I guess, would it be correct to say that I would think of a world where every student at IU is connected somehow to SongHub, right? And there are not only the musicians within Jacobs or the alumni, but there are musicians everywhere. They're all on SongHub. I want to collaborate with somebody who is a lyricist or somebody who is, a great guitar player. I have a keyboard piece that I really I think is a great song. I want to build it from there. Could you go back to that aspect of SongHub and basically show me one more time the flow of how I do that? And because it was weird, it's kind of like we jumped right into splits, but I'm still just collaborating. I don't know what the splits are going to be because the song's not built. It's only we're foundational at this point, if you follow my point. I've got the foundations of a song. I'm looking for collaborators. Splits, I imagine, come closer to finished product. Because we haven't completed the project yet. And we may say, hey, this is going to be 50-50 between you and me. But then I bring in Joe Blow, and Joe Blow does something to the song, and now we got to redo the splits. Could you go back to the foundational point of that and kind of show us how, from a student perspective, because
from a student perspective, if I was a student looking for a lyricist, for example, I could browse collaborators, which brings up everybody on the platform, and I could filter lyricists.
The lyricists.
This would filter down all of the lyricists that are currently in the IU program. And you could listen to their work, and if you like,
go to their profile. Yeah,
you can go to their profile, you can listen to their work, and if you like what you're here, then you could send an invite to collaborate. You can read about this person, you can go to their socials, you could do a little bit of research on the person before you invite them to collaborate.
That's a good point, though, Michael. A lot of producers may also, just put all the bass tracks and the beat together, and they're looking for a lyricist or someone to come on top of it. And they may not be in the music program, right? It might be someone that's an engineering student saying, by the way, I'm also a producer and I'm looking to work with talent. We had a woman at Full Sail who was doing A&R on the platform. She was looking for 3 artists to run through her label and work with them. And this was her repository for their songs. So there's multiple ways to use it. But yeah, the basis of this was collaboration. So that's why we wanted to let you see everybody on the platform, filter it by specialty or by niche, and then be able to contact them in platform, listen to their portfolio, and then, choose to work with them if you so do.
Yeah,
And
we like it.
what if I have a song? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we liken it to being as a LinkedIn for the creative music community.
Yeah, I like that. I was just going to say though, like, let's say, I mean, I have no idea where I want to go with it. I just know I have a song that's a great song, and I want to kind of put it out there, and I want to find collaborators to work on it with me within the, well, let's make it IU, for example, within the IU infrastructure. I want to
Mhm.
do that, and I want to start from there, or I want to just learn other people who are in a different uh,
Program.
space or
Mhm.
in a different program, because I don't want to just stay within Jacobs. I mean,
Right.
I look at it like the music industry. When I worked in the music industry, we had people who were lawyers who were writing songs or who were, in the copyright department, but they are an amazing flute player. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, how do you, it's important to be able to visualize how you would find those collaborators. So
Oh,
the
It'll show you
filtering aspect is
communities.
fantastic. Yeah.
and I want to definitely agree with you, Michael, that this is opening up opportunities for collaboration left, right, and center. I mean, I can see so many different possibilities here. It's interestingly enough, in the classical world, there's another quote unquote LinkedIn for musician that's being developed called Stage Time. I don't know if you know about it, but
No.
it's another platform, but it goes in a different direction. It's got a different logic to it because it's a different culture doing different things. But it's also a collaborative community. I see this as a pretty phenomenal tool within an ecosystem of activity that already exists. And what I like about it is that it empowers and educates. I'm actually, Michael, interestingly enough, I'm very drawn to the fact that within SongHub you can get your shit together. You can basically learn how to investigate and then publish your work, which in the same way that you're talking about, Michael, with collaboration, I think that students are always, and I've seen this a lot over the years here at IU, eager and very keen to get their works out, to build a fan base, to share it in social media, to sort of accelerate an awareness of what they're doing. And I think that this opens up avenues that they should know about because they should be investigating it. But it simplifies and what's the word? It creates efficiencies that I think are potentially very, very powerful.
Well, not only that, but it disciplines them to get into a more standardized workflow where they know they need to assign their percentage splits at the point of creation. They know they have to protect their IP by registering it with the US Copyright Office. It's almost an educational tool as much as a collaborative tool.
Yeah, we see this from the
Yeah.
music business programs as well as the music production programs, right? A lot of schools segregate, like, oh, you're on the business side. I think you guys have something through Kelly, right? But those students may not be music production students. They may not write songs, but they need to know how to protect the IP and handle the copyright. And you've got the music production students who probably don't understand the legal basis for a lot of that. But there should be something that brings them together because as an independent writer or artist, it's as important, right? You get out in the real world, no one is going to hold your hand and say, "Hey, you need to register your songs properly."
Or you need to join a PRO.
Right?
I have
Joe,
a,
show them communities. I think that
I have
might
a quick
answer some of
question for
Michael's
you
questions.
while you're studying. So let me ask you. The Jacob School of Music community of creators are actually producing recordings of covers. I mean, like classical music is basically
Yeah.
a world in which people are just creating covers left, right, and center, and they want to be able to publish and produce and send them out, and that's their creative zone. So it's legitimate in the sense of creating art that they want to share. A recording of a Mozart piano sonata, for instance.
Uh-huh.
That's the bulk of what the Jacob School of Music is about right now. And obviously, everybody's leaning now into producing and investigating how to create music as well. How would SongHub interface with that culture, if at all? I mean, do you imagine a world where people are creating covers left, right, and center, and that they're registering them and they're doing whatever's necessary to be able to get them out?
100%. Yeah. I mean, even a classical piece, the arrangement is always registered.
And we've seen,
Right.
we've had inquiries from some of the schools we're speaking about song libraries, right? They want to have a label or a publishing entity at their school for production music or original music, and they want a repository for it. Like, how do people contribute? How do we curate this? Can we keep that on this platform? And the answer is 100%. So we can hold your songs here. You can properly register them, and then you can plug in a distribution partner if you like, because
Right.
that's something that, again, the school itself may want to have a record label or a publishing entity, or like you said, a collection of music from the students even. Where does that go? Where does that live? Right now, it lives nowhere. So that's part of the purpose.
Is there somewhere on this site that you can highlight that a song is a cover? So this way you're
Yeah.
only registering the
The arrangement.
recording, the master side, and not the publishing?
No, but you're still registering the arrangement with the society.
Oh,
Yeah, we can adapt to master or composition depending on, again, if it's totally original or if it's a cover track. Um, and just show them communities. I think that'll
Right
answer.
here.
public domain. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, as part of the registration side.
Yeah.
Original
And then
composition, right?
that can be exported as a CSV, that entire writers publishers block down there, since a lot of societies don't have an API yet. So you can export that and then submit that to your society if you're with ASCAP or BMI, for example.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of like, I often tell people, the music business program is left side of the brain, right side of the brain, right? But from a creative perspective, a lot of times you'll have something, but you don't know what to do with it, right? And to me, that's the most important thing. This is like, you know, lightning in a bottle. Bernie Taupin finding Elton John. That's lightning in a bottle. This kind of helps people who can't get lightning in a bottle. I'm a lyricist, but I need to find my Elton John. I need to find somebody who's going to create the
Right.
music to bring my lyrics to life, or vice versa. It's not always that it just happens in the workplace. This creates like you say, a LinkedIn for people to find that person who will be able to collaborate with. I really like it. I mean, and not only that, you got to realize that a lot of people are I'll call them closet musicians,
Yeah.
in the sense that they may be taking classical keyboards, they may be taking finance at Kelly, but that doesn't mean they're not a songwriter or they're not somebody who's musically inclined and wants an outlet for their music or to collaborate with other people who are similarly situated.
Mhm.
Plenty of singers in finance.
Hey, you're looking at one.
And
There you go.
plenty of lawyers as songwriters. You mentioned
That's true.
earlier. Yeah.
I have
Uh,
another quick question about that. Actually, came up this afternoon with somebody by the name of Larry Grippe, who runs our a music for media program, scoring for visual media. He was wondering if there is technology out there that effectively watermarks, tags content, so that as it migrates in different forms, it can be tracked and it can be followed.
we're working on that right now.
Yeah, we'll show you the blockchain part of that, and then we'll show
Yeah.
you the community side. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the next phase. No one's actively doing it mainstream, but that is where people are going.
That's where it's headed. Yeah. Communities. So once again, these are the 6 programs offered at Full Sail, so their students can create and engage in communities, invite their friends to join communities, and post content. So we'll go to music and recording.
So Michael, like you were saying, anybody can create a community. So if you're a flautist and you want to do, film scoring, you could start a flute playing film scoring community. And anybody can join, contribute, share files, audio files, video files, what have you. And then anybody can browse these and join any community they like. So this is a place where people can get together, share their work, talk about other people's work, be creative. It's a 24/7, basically marketplace and forum.
Right.
I noticed that you've got Grammy U there and ASCAP, and so so professional organizations are creating communities within this as well.
They're starting to. We're talking to all these entities. Grammy U being something that's really interesting because they're international. Their mission is to bring people from other countries into the U.S. Music industry creatively. But theoretically, you could start with any communities you like.
Yeah.
If you guys want to seed it, we've also had instructors saying, "Can I teach a class through this?" Which you can. You can just put up your community and have video feeds or text questions or any type of file that you want to put up. Mentorships, if there's someone that maybe is a great guitar player, but they're not in the music school and they want to do, a weekly guitar mentorship, welcome to do that here. So it's pretty open with a white label version. Again, you can curate that the way you want.
And curate the live news feed that would show on all the students' dashboard, just like I'm showing you here.
Yep.
It's very cool.
Again, it's a social network that's focused on the creator versus your little brother from, California.
One of the other thoughts that I have is, so the Bloomington music scene is sort of like a community scene that is university, but it's also town. We have Rock Paper Scissors, as you mentioned. We've also got Secret League, the Secret League group. I don't know if you know about them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're in Bloomington?
yeah, they're based in Bloomington.
Didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, Bloomington's where it's happening, man. Yeah.
it is.
Anyway, so I'm also thinking in terms of collaboration, creativity, community building, and creating this sort of renaissance of creativity in Bloomington at large. So, if, for instance, we got if Indiana University invested in this, would we be able to enable members of the community to join? Could there be like a section or a status that we identify that enables community members to join as well?
100%. That's a really good idea because, like we just talked about with the rock, paper, scissors forum that you guys just did, that's a beautiful way to bring in industry and the educators in the same place to benefit everybody.
Yeah.
But that would be really interesting because I only been to Bloomington once, but my impression was it's a college town, right? Everything in that town runs around IU. And if you guys become the central hub or focus point for all the other ancillary businesses that come in creatively, that's a big deal.
Yeah, lots of Bloomington's
That's a
really
really
well
cool
known for
idea.
its what they call the house party scene where all these incredible bands originate in the community and then they sort of emerge into the clubs and then they go off and do amazing things.
Yeah, this could be a way for that to have a lot of Genesis points because I think, like Michael alluded to, a lot of these kids don't know how to connect, right? They go to their class, they go back to their dorm or their apartment, and they don't meet a lot of other people that are doing something that someone may live right next door. They don't even know them, right? But here it allows you to share your creative expressions, reach out to the community, form a community, meet other people that might be there that you would never meet otherwise.
The other thing that I really like, and you mentioned it at the beginning, was when you set the stage for it, is that it's multidisciplinary. It's like
Mhm.
music, visuals, photography. I mean, like people generating creative content in
Mhm.
different disciplines can interact in this space as well. So, if you want to do a
Yeah.
music video or something like
We're,
that.
we're compatible with all file types, whether they're audio files, movie files, photo files, documents.
But yeah, great point. Like you just mentioned again, film students use music all the time, right? But
Yeah.
but they're in a different place. At Full Sail, there's no dormitories, so kids don't get a chance to even see each other after class. They don't even talk to each other. They're looking for music on Snapchat or Instagram or somewhere else, but they've got an entire music program on campus that they should take advantage of, right? Same with game developers. They're developing games. Every game I know has got music in it. Where are they getting the music? They're going to sound libraries that have no meaning to them at all, where they could be using the school's music department to have resources like that to connect those.
And we can also create a repository for schools to have their own music library, their own music available for other students to use. We're doing that for Full Sail now, where it'll just be accessible to all the film and TV students, and the music students can continue to feed content into that pool of music.
Amazing.
Yeah. So there's, we see a lot of people talking about Google Classroom and Coursera, and there's other platforms that are made for educators, but they're usually, here's a video, take a test, right? It's basically instructor to student. They don't allow the collaborative process, which is necessary in the creative endeavors. So having, a band or a group of musicians or a group of filmmakers trying to work together on a project doesn't really work well over Coursera. So
Yeah.
that's, I think, where we slot in. So it's not a classroom teaching device or platform, so to speak, but it's a creative platform that allows the work to be done and then delivered through whatever delivery you can deliver through this if you like as well. But it hopefully doesn't get in the way of the teaching stuff that's we're pushing out a course, take a test. Right? This is more, hey, I want to work with 3 people and write a song. I'm going to submit my song in a week. Here's a lyricist, here's a keyboard player, here's a producer. We all worked on this together.
Mhm.
So Isaac, do you want
it's a great link / connection to multiple creative communities. I like the example of the film school, for example, or the media school,
Yeah.
creating projects, but maybe they have some collaborators on the music side to create music for their projects, but if they don't, this creates a vehicle for them to find people that are at the school to help them. It's interesting. Really, there's lots of application here.
Yeah, I saw your film and TV school over there, and the soundstage they have in the. I guess it's moved. Part of it's moved toward the front of the school, but the old part still had a huge soundstage in it. That's pretty much the platform. Any questions you have, we're happy to
Yeah.
answer.
Any questions or?
Happy to come out and present it to a class, or if you guys have, any other integrations you can think of, happy to fly out and sit with you guys and walk you through it. Happy to white
Well,
label a version for you.
my guess is you're going to be out here quite a bit because you have a student here now.
I'll be moving her
So
in August. Yes.
I was wondering if anybody in the from the attendees has any questions. We can leave it open for a
Mhm.
bit.
well, a number of those people whose cameras are not on are students in my class, and I got to imagine their heads are spinning, or they're thinking about the potential application because they're
Yeah.
not all music students. Some of them are Kelly, some of them are arts and media and stuff like that.
Can,
So
can I
it's
ask them a
something.
question?
Sure.
How many of you guys, if you can, feel like you can connect with other students on your campus? So in other words, if you're a music department student, can you connect easily with a film department student? Is that something that's enabled or not?
I'll be the
Go ahead.
first to speak, I guess, but I'm Tessa
Tessa.
Wittenbaum. I'm an
Hi,
arts
Tessa.
management student. Hi, nice to meet you all.
You too.
Same.
I just wanted to say thanks for presenting, but I'll just say I'm in O'Neill, so I'm right next to Kelly, and I'm also not a music student. I don't know a lot about music, but I love the music business aspect.
Mhm.
But the only thing I'll say is there really is a disconnect, especially because for me, I'm kind of going the theater route, concert route. And then I've met so many other people who start somewhere else and evolve from there. And I think it would be really cool to have a way to connect with everyone if possible. And I think this could be a great way.
Good to
Thanks for
hear.
that,
We hear that
Tessa.
at other schools. It's
Yeah.
exactly what they're saying. Like we see that school. We know the film kids are over there. We don't know how to get a hold of them. There's no more bulletin boards.
Mhm.
So we'd love to be the glue that connects the different disciplines at IU.
Kenneth, you're going to chime in and say something? He's a
Yeah.
Kelly guy who's also a musician, so interesting application there. How you doing, Kenneth?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks again for the presentation. But I agree with Tessa. School wise, the resources are not really like there as in like to connect the different departments. But I mean, I personally have made my connections with like students from like other departments, like personally or like through friends. But we're talking about like the current system. I don't think there's like a
I will say that there are student organizations that are across the campus. There are about 4 or 5 music related student organizations that do some pretty phenomenal things. There's the Delta Music Club that invites everybody to get together and play. There's a lot of
yeah.
sharing going on there, and then there's a club called Music Industry Creatives that is putting on a music festival next week, and then there's so in other words, you get the partitioned academic zones, and there's a whole story behind why that is. But then you also do have this community that's been sort of networking itself and building itself through student organizations and other ways. So I think that there's a sort of an organic, natural way that students do connect to their interest areas, and they cross fertilize and collaborate. But I think that this, as we've been saying all along, creates a sort of an efficiency and a direction and an application of all of that creative energy into results that that a formative experience that can lay the groundwork for creative life, and a revenue developing creative life, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Bloomington Delta Music Club is actually how I met most of my current band members. So
Oh, nice.
just,
Awesome.
Do you think something like this would be of value, Kenneth? I mean, would you use it? Do you see other students using this?
yeah, definitely. Especially like since there are, I mean, like most of the people in my band are not, well, everyone are not music students, and like it'd be hard, I guess, to find those other people if you were already like, or if you were in the music club, or if you were like kind of like established in the community and like know people here and there. But yeah, I could see this definitely as a great platform.
That's really interesting because
Interesting.
that's exactly my point that I was making earlier. Is that Kenneth does music, but he's also like a student at Poly. And all the musicians that he works with, none of them are music students. But so there's, I mean, when you talk about IU as a whole, that's tip of the iceberg. How much bigger is that? You know what I mean? How much bigger? How many more collaborators could there be, or that I don't even know about? And if there's a vehicle for me to find them, or find them easily, people who are similarly minded or similarly situated. I've only been at IU for less than a year, and I'm every week I go, wait a minute, that exists or something like that. This is kind of a way to foster that kind of collaboration cross campus. So real interesting.
There's also other branches of Indiana University, aren't there? There are multiple branches in Indiana, I believe.
There are, yeah, quite a few.
We have 6 campuses.
Okay. And none of those are connected?
Depends on your field of, like, if you're in public health, then there's 2 campuses are directly connected, but there's no IU Bloomington tends to be very much on its own. I mean, in simple terms, that's yeah. But when you talk about the creative community, along the lines of what we've been talking about, this could be an opportunity to expand that.
I mean,
Sure.
I mean, my general sense is that I think in terms of the mission for community development, creative community development, which is a lot of what you're talking about. Honestly, I think that this app, this platform can go so far because there are multiple programs and pathways and platforms and initiatives that are moving simultaneously across campus in all these different directions. And I think the more you get to know about the ecosystem of what those things are, and I'd be happy to talk with you about them, the more you can position this in a place that has maximal impact. But I'm not sure that this will, as an overlay, take the role of creating all those relationships. I think it's more going to be a sort of an added vehicle or sort of a platform that can enable people to do discrete things, but not necessarily create the whole community. And what we've also noticed, and this is something which I think has a lot to do with college life, no matter what systems you put in place, you can spend billions of dollars, you can put everything in front of students, and you will not be able to design behavior around your version or your vision of what students do or can do. It's a much more give and take, interactive environment in which pretty much students decide to do their own things.
Yeah, no, we've definitely seen that. Yeah.
And that's not, I mean, this is spectacular. I think that it absolutely has a place, but it's a question of how to position it in a way that has an optimal chance for success. Joni, you have a
Tony.
Yeah, as a career advisor who works with alumni, I'm interested to know about the size of your team and the makeup of your team. Like, is it you two in your basements, making this great thing happen, or what does SongHub look like behind the scenes?
We're a startup. I mean, we're very privately held. There's probably 10 of us on the team if you include our devs. That's why we are able to pivot pretty quickly. So if someone said, look, we need this, or can you change this? We can do that. You're not talking to Microsoft where they're never going to do that for you. But we're very attuned to the creative side. My background's in music. I used to manage a band called Stone Temple Pilots from 1990 through 2000, managed another 20 artists, signed to major labels and publishers. Joe's background, like I mentioned before, is in music and music publishing as well. So we understand the rights areas. We understand how royalties are paid. We understand a lot of the pain points from the artist perspective. Some of the things that, an engineer may never understand. It's like, how do I get to my gig? How do I work with the collaborator? How do I write this song? How do I get it registered? Right? I mean, all things that pertain to music, but unless you've been in it and in the trenches, you may not know. So we built this for musicians, right? We built it from the aspect of what are the real world problems that we see, and then how do we resolve them? And like I said before, musicians were calling Joe saying, I'm looking for a guitar player in the US. I'm in Germany. Can you connect me? There's nothing out there that does that, right? You could try doing that through Facebook or, again, some other large platform, but we found that having a focused platform that allows people to work together creatively made a lot of sense. So yeah, we're small, we're growing. We're talking to about 15 different schools right now. We are public. It's the product is out in the marketplace. Full Sales, they've been very generous. We've been down there 3 times. We participated in their career fairs. We've got interns coming on board, street team coming on board from Full Sail. Our hope is to do that in campuses all across the country so that we can have students work together. Their point was also the same as yours. Why not open this up creatively, right? Why limit it to Bloomington? Why limit it to IU if you've got other people that may want to come in and help IU students, right? Maybe there's a Full Sail student who's a great vocalist or a great producer that one of your creatives can work with. And then you've got a network that's been bigger and the resources are exponentially built. So again, happy to white label it for you guys and make it customized as you like, or put you on the public version. I mean, there's myriad ways we can go about it.
Well, Steve, I have to say now you had me at hello, but I didn't know you managed Stone Temple Pilots. Now I see a parlay here. We have to get you to campus, A, to talk to students about managing a crazy band, and B, about doing an on-site demo. The wheels of academia sometimes move slow, or slowly. So I think that I would love to continue to chat with you about SongHub and the applications. But I'd also, whenever you're here with your son, daughter, sorry, when she starts attending, we'll have to get you to speak to a class about band management and all of the wonderful experiences you can share with us about that.
And then, Mike, I don't know if you recall when we met in Los Angeles that I'd mentioned that I'm co-owner of a sync licensing firm here in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And you had expressed interest in maybe having us speak to some of your students in regards to music for visual media.
Absolutely. Well, as my students are sick of me saying over and over, but your network is important. So you guys are helping me expand my network, among other things. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and
Happy to contribute.
And I
Anytime.
can see, we're, as it turns out, we were actually in conversation because there are all these emerging technologies right now, and we were just actually a few of us were in conversation about an AI related thing, and I think that along the lines of what Michael's saying, absolutely, there's every reason for us to have a formal presentation to the powers that be at the Jacob School of Music and try and work out with how to bring this in, and how to make it possible for students to have access to it. Yeah, definitely.
Let us know who to speak with. One of the things we find at schools is there's layers and layers of admin.
Yeah.
And you're talking to the people that are actually rubber meets the road teaching the students. And then they've got a department head and there's another department head and there's like 3 department heads. And nothing, it takes like a year for it to go through. So
and
happy
Jacob's
to.
I think between
giant school.
Yeah,
So
between Michael and me, I think we already know pretty much who. So I think, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm on board for this as well. Definitely.
We're happy to come out and make the case. If you said, "Hey guys, we've got the meetings with the dean or whoever can green light something," we'll hop on a plane tomorrow. Easy for us.
Great.
Any other questions? No?
Nothing apart from just thank you. I mean, wow.
yeah, thank you both so much for doing this and for demoing this and for creating such an awesome platform. Seriously, wow. Yeah.
We're glad you like it, and we'd love to be part of the family.
Yeah, and look forward to seeing you at Tectonics again in October. If
We'll be there.
Are you planning on being there?
We'll be there. We're at Music Biz in May next month. Wow, we're at a couple. We do a lot of the conferences as well.
Great.
But yeah, thank you for the feedback and thanks for watching this because it helps us every time we speak with guys that are actually in women that are in the space. It gives us that real world experience, that practical side that we don't hear so often. But and also the students that hopped in.
Thank you for the
feedback.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks again, Steve and Joe. I really appreciate this personally. Thank you.
Well,
Michael.
We'll be in touch.
And thank you, Michael, for bringing this to the table too. Very, very much so.
Yes, good to meet everybody.
See you guys.
Thanks.
Okay,
thanks, guys, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac.
And thanks to my students who jumped in. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tessa.